When you go to canva.com, first of all you want to sign in. Now it might be that your computer or your device has saved your sign in like it has here for me, and you can just click continue, or it might be that you need to go to the sign in button at the top and input your email address and password. So after you've logged in, you should then get your Canva home screen come up, and the home screen will show you a search bar at the top, examples of templates you can use, and then your recent designs will appear down the bottom. To start your design, you need to decide what size and shape you're going to use. I'm going to choose a square Instagram post, so I'm going to click on this template here, which will create me a square post like so. So what we're going to look at today is a design for a Sunday service. Now you can see here we've got a design that you might create in Word or in Publisher or in PowerPoint, and it tells you everything you need to know. It's got the title, it's got all the details, and it's quite easy to read. It's got your logo on and it's got a photo of your church, but it doesn't look particularly inspiring or inviting. So we're going to have a look at using the Designs tool in Canva to see how we can make it look a bit better. So if I just show you the next page. So this design obviously looks a bit more exciting. It's got a nice big picture of your church. It still tells you all the information you need to know, and it's still very readable. So I'm going to show you how I got from this to this via this design. You've chosen your template size, and then you're going to go across to the Design tab on the left hand side. And in my Design tab, I'm going to search for Sunday service and see what it brings up for me. Then I'm going to scroll down and decide which one I want to choose. First up, I don't want this picture in it, so I'm going to select the picture and I'm going to delete it, either using the delete key or clicking delete on the element there. Next, I want to add my own picture in, so I'm going to go across to the Uploads tab, and I'm either going to choose a picture that's already in my library, or I'm going to click on Upload Files, which then takes you through to your Explorer window and allows you to upload a file. You can see the progress bar going along the bottom tells you when the file has uploaded. So to add a photo into your design, you can do it in one of two ways. If you just click on the image in the Uploads bar on the left, then it will add it in whatever size or shape it's saved as. So in this case it's just a rectangle, and then you can resize it by dragging at the corners, and you can crop bits off, and you can zoom in as well. Another way of doing it is to click on the picture and without releasing the mouse drag it across, and this quite often gives you the option to drop it straight into the design as a background. Now this brings up one of the first things I want to talk about in terms of accessibility, in that although it looks very pretty with a picture as the background, having a picture as the background makes the text really hard to read. So that's not a suggested design that we would use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to detach this image from the background by right clicking on it and deleting it, and then I'm going to add it in like so. What I'm then going to do is I'm going to make it a bit bigger and resize it to how I want it to be. I want it to be the full length of the design and move it across so I've got my church in like that. Now straight away you can see that it has overlapped some of the other elements of the design. So in order to get things in the right format and layering, I can change the order of things in one of two ways. I can right click on an element and go to layer, and then I can click on bring forward or bring to front. So in this case, when I click bring to front, it's also brought it in front of all the text, which is not ideal. So to fix this easily, I'm going to go to the position button at the top of the screen, and then I'm going to go across to layers. So all the elements in your design are listed in this left hand column where the layers are, and you can see as I scroll over it, it's highlighting where each of the layers are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this all the way to here, so it's got all the text in front of it, and I'm going to move my church photo almost to the back. So you can see here my background colour is this blue effect photo. So I don't really like that effect on the photo, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the background colour to this nice purple colour. So I've got that colour as my background now. If I wanted to use something like a gradient in the background colour, I could do that by scrolling down. I could choose a solid colour, or I can choose a gradient colour, which you won't see so much here. If I move this out of the way, you can see it better. There we go. And it also gives you the option of taking a colour from your brand kit. Now this is something I've set up, which are colours that are associated with the Diocese of Ely brand, and you can do that for your own church if you have colours that you usually use, or you could set it up with Church of England colours if you wanted to do that. Another option it gives you is to choose colours from your photo. So it's picked these colours out of the photo of the church, and it's given me the options to use these as my background colour. Oh, I'm clicked on the wrong thing there. Okay, this is another good learning opportunity, as if you're accidentally clicking on the wrong thing, change the wrong thing, put the thing in the wrong place, the undo button is your best friend. So you just click on undo and it takes it back. And if you can't quite select the element that you want to change, then if you go back to position and to layers, you can select from here. Say, actually, I'm trying to change the background colour, so I'm going to go there, and then I can go and change it here. And I quite like the sort of torn paper effect, but I don't like all the extra bits. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete those parts by selecting them and deleting them like so. And what I'd also like to do is I would like to rotate this so it is vertical. So you can see I'm rotating it and it's showing me the angle of degrees as I rotate it using that circular icon with two arrows in. Okay, so now I'm feeling happy with that. But I'm not sure about the white edging on this element here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to recolor this element by clicking in the color boxes for this particular element, which are up here. And let's choose a nice purpley colour. That's maybe a bit bright. So there you can see it's changed the main body of the element to that purple colour, but it hasn't changed the edges. So in order to change the edges, I can select the different colours and make them all the same colour. Now I'd also like to keep these elements in place, but I don't want them on a slant. So again, I'm going to rotate them. First up, I'm going to change the colour of this Great Big Sunday word. So I'm going to go to text colour here, and I'm going to change it to a navy blue colour. Now I've already got these colours set up in my brand kit, so I can choose this quite easily. I can click on there, and if there's more than one piece of text that's the same colour, it will give you the option down the bottom of the colour screen to change all of that text to be the same colour. So if you click on that, then that automatically changes everything that was that light blue into the darker blue. So as you can see, all of these words, bar this one, are written in capital letters or uppercase letters, which is not ideal for accessibility. Using sentence case letters is much more accessible for people with neurological conditions and dyslexia. So what I can do is I can use the uppercase toggle button up here to change it, to change the case. And you can see for one of them it's changed it well, for the other one it hasn't, and the reason for that being that this font is an uppercase only font. So in that case I'm going to go and I'm going to choose a different font. So I'm going to choose this one instead. And it's given me the option down the bottom to change everything in that font to be my new font. So if I click on that, then it will automatically do that for me. That might not be what I want to do. So I will undo that. And here you can see that the bold lettering makes it a bit harder to read. So I'm going to remove the bold lettering. And this text has got what we call effects on it. Now you can find different effects by clicking up the top here on the effects button, which brings up the options on your left hand side. You can choose none, and you can also choose to shape the text in a curve, and you can move it around like that if that's something you want to do. I don't want to curve it, so I'm going to say none, and I also don't want it in capital letters, so again I'm going to take off the uppercase and I'm going to take off the bold. Now this is a good example of a font that's really not very easy to use. So for this I'm going to go straight away and I'm going to change the font to a more readable one, like so. I can change the colour of it in the same way, and you can see that this has got an effect on it, which is the neon effect. So it's got a little glow around the outside. I'm probably going to change this as well to a different font just to make it a bit more readable. And I'm going to change it into lowercase. As you can see, it's now too big for the space, so I can change the text size in one of two ways. I can either use the arrow to resize the text box, or I can click in the drop down font size box and choose the size from there. So you can change it up and down in that way. You can also change the alignment of the text in the box using this alignment button. So if you want it to be left aligned, justified, right or centre, you can click there. You can add bullet points or numbers there. And another thing you can do is you can change the spacing of the words and the letters. So if I add in another word here, I'll just move this so you can see it better, and I go to this icon here with the up and down arrow, and you can see you can change the spacing of the letters up and down and the spacing of the lines up and down as well. Okay, next I want to add my logo in. So I'm going to go across and find it. So what I'm going to do is use a magic tool on this, which is only available in Canva Pro. And I'm going to go to Edit Photo and go to the Background Remover tool. I click on this and hey presto, it's removed the background from my logo, which I can then resize and drag around and use as I want to. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to make sure that everything is centered on each other and aligned. Now, Canva's pretty good, as in it gives you guidelines as you move things along. So you can see the pink lines appearing, which tells you whether it's lined up with something on the left, on the right, or in the middle. So if I try and line that up on the middle of the logo above, for example. There we go. And then I can go down and line them all up to make sure they're in the centre. So this text box has got an effect on it as well, which gives it a nice background. If I click onto effects, you can see that the background is selected, and you can choose what colour the background is going to be. You can choose the shape of the word again if you want to. But I'm going to take the effect off that, and I'm going to show you how to add it another way. So going over to the Elements tab on the left, I'm going to add in a shape. So you can type in shape, or you can click onto Browse Categories and select shape. And I'm going to add in a rounded square. I click that and it gets added in automatically. Now I can just type directly into this square and resize it accordingly. The size of the text that you put into the square doesn't resize automatically as you move the shape of the square. But I don't want any text in there, I just want it as a background colour, so I'm going to make it the right size and shape that I want. I'm going to put it in the centre of my design, line it up with the others. I'm going to make sure this is in the centre too. You can see that there's both vertical and horizontal lines going across there, showing you where to put it. And I'm going to recolour this to match my design a bit better. I'm going to recolour my text for it to match the other text. And I'm going to carry on with my design. So another way of making this more accessible, apart from changing from an uppercase font, would be to change the date format slightly. So obviously we want to change this to be Sunday because it's a Sunday service. So instead of using the letter 7 and then a TH, what I'm going to do is just use 7 as it is and leave it like that. So it's a lot clearer for people to read if they don't have to think about what the TH stands for, especially if English is not your first language. It just makes it a bit more accessible, and you can put it in the middle of the two words, so the day, then the number, and then the month, and you don't necessarily need to put the year in unless it's happening very far in the future, for example. So now I'm feeling quite happy with my design, but what I'd like to do is I would like to add a few more little bits into it. So you can see down here in the corner, in the original design, it's got this little flourish of some crosses. Now if you like the look of the flourishes that are already on there, you can duplicate them, move them around, you can make them bigger and smaller, you can rotate them, you can position them so they're slightly off the page, you can position them so they're underneath things like other elements. So if I send that one backwards, for example, then you can see it gets half hidden behind that element. And I can also flip the elements vertically and horizontally by using the flip button, which does a mirror image of it. So if you, for example, wanted to have the same image in each four corners but reflected, then you could do that. You could duplicate and flip, and then duplicate and flip. Let's just delete that one out of the way. So then you've got the same thing in all four corners. You might decide that you want to add something completely different, in which case you're going to go back to your Elements tab over here, and you're going to maybe search for something or have a look at the graphics and see what's there. It might tell you something called magic recommendations, which is things that it thinks fit well with your design. You can use those if you want to. Or you can search for something. For example, if you wanted to put an arrow, then you could search for the word arrow. And it would give you lots of different choices, of which you can change the colour. And you could put borders on if you wanted to as well. Now you can see with that one, it just puts a border all the way around the image, not around the shape. So if I take that one off and show you another example of an arrow. So if you do a shaped arrow and then add a border to that, then that does put the border around the arrow itself because it's a shape, not an image. And you can increase and decrease it and round the corners as well if you wanted to do that. You can also make the border colour to be the same as the colour of the arrow, so it doesn't have to be contrasting. And sometimes you can type in the shapes as well. Once you've added in your elements, you might want to recolour them, in which case you go up to the colour box at the top and you choose an alternative colour. And again, if you've got lots of the same thing on the page, it will give you the option to change all the colours. I quite like that colour, but I'd like to change it a little bit. So I've selected it, I'm going to go to add new colour, and then I'm going to move this dot around to make it a bit lighter until I'm happy with the colour. Another option is you can use the eyedropper to pick a colour from the design. So if you click on that and you say, I want this colour, then that will match it exactly. You can also use the hex code to give you the colour that you're looking for. So for example, if I wanted the Diocese of Ely blue colour, I would go to the top, add in a new colour, and I would type in the code there, 3, and then hit return, and you can see it's changed it to that blue colour. Right, I'm going to switch this out because I decided I don't want the Ely Cathedral logo. I'd like to have my Church of England logo, which I've uploaded. Oh, but I've got so many photos, so I'm going to search in the search bar for logo, and then that will bring up anything that's named logo. So I can move that up here. Now I've decided to put my logo in, I think, oh, I haven't got very much space here, have I? So then I'm going to move all the elements down. Now you can move elements at the same time, either by clicking and holding down the Shift key to move them simultaneously, like so. Or if you're having trouble with that, if you can't select them all, you can go back to the Layers tab and you can choose all the elements you want to move by selecting, holding down the Shift key again, and then moving them up and down. Now you can see in this case I neglected to select this shape when I was moving the other shapes, so if that happens, just go back and make sure you select that one as well. What you might need to do is you might need to move it so it's next to the other layers to make it easier to select. What I can do if I always want this text to move with this box is I can group them together. So I select the text, I hold down the Shift key and I select the box, and then I click onto group. And then when you move it around, they always move together, and if you resize it, it resizes it together as well. If you decide you want to add some more text into your design, then you can go across to the text tab on the left, and you can either set up different sizes and different fonts of text in your brand kit, or you can search for a font if you know which one you want to use, or just add a text box, and it will give you a default font in there which you can then change if you want to. If you're trying to change the colour of a font, but when you click on it you find it's not working, then either click off the box and click back into it and try again, or you can use your cursor to select all the text you want to change the colour of and click on the colour, like so. If you want to add in another image, then you can do that by going across to the Elements tab and choosing a frame or searching for frame in the search box. That will bring up these options for you, and you can choose to add a frame of any shape into your design. To insert the image into the frame, you go back to Uploads and you can drag it across and pop it directly into the frame, like so. If you wanted to add a specific picture to your design, you can do that by going to the Elements tab and searching, for example, for a Chris Dingle, and that will bring up all the photos or graphics that they've got associated with that word, and you can just add those in the same way. You can see there that it's added it into the frame, but it's not quite in the right position, so I'm going to double click on it and move it across until it's in a place that I am happy with. You can see that all these photos have got a little crown on them, which means that they're only available in the Pro version of Canva. But you can also find free stock photos related to churches on the Church of England resource hub on a church near you. You can also add a border around a photo by clicking on the photo and going up to the border style button at the top, where you can change the design and you can change the weight of the border, how round it is and what colour it is. You might decide that you want to add an image and try to overlay it onto your design, in which case you can use the background removal tool by going to Edit Photo, click on Background Removal, and then you can see that it's taken away all the white space. And you can resize and use your picture wherever you'd like to on the page. The background removal tool also works on photos. You click on Edit Photo and go to Background Removal. There you can see that it's taken the background out of that picture. You might also decide that you want to change the picture that you're using, in which case you can either delete it and add another one in, or you can just pull another one across and it will auto replace the image that's already there. If you want to perhaps show a different part of the image, you can double click on the image and move it around like that until it shows the bit you'd like to see on your design. You can also change the transparency of an image by going to this checkerboard button at the top and reducing it like so. This allows whatever colour you've got in the background to show through slightly. Obviously, if you go all the way down to 0, then it just shows you the background. But sometimes you can use that to create nice effects on photos. Your design saves automatically all the time. You can rename it by going up to the top and typing in the box here. When you're ready to download your design, if you go across to the Share button, click onto Share and then go to Download. In the Pro version, it gives you a choice of file types. In the basic version, I think you can only get a PDF file type. Now you might want to download all 3 pages, or you might just want to download the one you've worked on most and chosen, in which case deselect the all pages option and select current page, and then click on to download. You can see the progress bar shows you when the download has complete, and you can then access that from your Explorer window. If you want to share your design with someone else, you click on the share button and you can send them a collaboration link. But before you send the link, don't forget to change the access to be anyone with the link. Then you can click on copy and you can paste it into an email, or you can add people by putting in their email address here. But again, don't forget to change the collaboration settings. If you'd like to make your design into a different format, for example, switching it from a social media post to a poster, then you can do that in Canva Pro by using the resize or magic switch button at the top. And then you can either search for the options in the search bar, or you can scroll down and browse by category to find the right size for what you're looking for. Click on the size that you want. You can choose whether to convert all the pages or just one page. Click continue and then copy and resize. If we open that up to have a look, you can see it's copied across all the elements, but they're maybe not quite in the right place for what you want. So you can play with them, extend them, whatever you need to do to make it look like you want it. If you don't have a Canva Pro account, you can still resize your design fairly easily by selecting all the elements, either using the Shift key and clicking on them all, or by going to the Position tab and to Layers and selecting all the layers like that, and then use the copy and paste function into another document. Again, you can see it doesn't come out as quite the right aspect, but you can play around with it until it looks right for you. To set up a team and work collaboratively with other people, go to your home page, then go to Settings, choose the Billing and Plans option, and click on Create a New Team. When you want to find your designs again, if you go to your Canva homepage, they will automatically appear down the bottom under Recent Designs. Or if you've got a lot of designs, you might want to put them into folders, in which case you go to the Projects tab and you can organise them into folders. You can also use the search function to search your projects in the top bar. If you're looking to create something specific, like a newsletter, then the first place to start is in the search bar on your home page. If you type in the word newsletter, that will bring up a load of example layouts that you can personalise. Just choose one you like and click on Customise this template. Again, you can use the same tricks to change all the colours to your branding colours by selecting one and then using Change All. You can also do things like change all the fonts to be the same in the same way.